The message came from deep space. No one knew who sent it, but every advanced species read it. It was not a voice or a picture. It was a signal, carved into light and sent across galaxies. The message was short. Do not enter Sector D9. The hunter is awake. Aliens who read it grew afraid. The ones who lived near Sector D9 moved away. Old species remembered ancient stories about something terrible in that part of space. They called it the Dark Hunger. Others called it Cthulhu. They said it was not a thing of bone or machine, but of pain and memory. The Galactic Accord. A council of the most powerful alien empires warned everyone, this is not a war beast. This is not a natural predator. This is something worse. It does not hunt to eat. It hunts to make others feel pain. No one went near D-9 except the humans. Humans heard the warning. They read the reports. They studied the sensor data. Then, they sent a ship anyway. It was called the Horizon's Wake. Captain Arya Monroe was in charge. She was young, but had already led 3 deep space missions. She had seen monsters. She had survived black hole storms. She had watched entire cities vanish into dust. When asked why she would go to D9, she answered with a calm face, "It just feels like there's something there, something important." The Accord begged her to stop, the alien ambassadors warned her of what happened to the last explorers who entered D9. All gone. No signals, no wreckage. Not even dust left behind. She just said, "We don't run from fear. That's not what humans do." So the Horizon's Wake launched. 20 crew. Members, 5 science drones. 1 long-range AI probe. Enough food and oxygen for 6 months. They crossed the border into Sector D9 in silence. Nothing attacked. Nothing moved. Space looked normal, stars shining, dust clouds glowing, but something felt wrong. Engineer Tom Harlow noticed it first. His tools, normally quiet, made soft clicks even when turned off. "Breathing," he whispered. Then biologist Hannah Lee saw her lab plants bending toward. Empty corners of the room toward shadows where no light reached. Pilot Marcus Tran started hearing voices in the engine hum. He said they spoke in his mother's voice, though she died years ago. The crew tried to stay calm. Arya told them to focus on science. "Fear can't touch you if your mind is working," she said. But deep inside the ship, something was listening. It did not have eyes, but it saw. It did not have ears, but it heard. It did not have a heart, but it remembered how to break one. It had been quiet for a long time. Sleeping, some might say. Not in the way creatures sleep, but in the way old wounds wait to be felt again now. Humans were here, and they brought something different. Not just fear. Not just curiosity. They brought grief real. Deep grief. Cthulhu felt it like a storm against its skin. It had hunted before. It had crushed armies. It had erased whole planets. But those prey had fought, screamed, or run. None of them had wept, the way humans did. None of them had carried pain like a badge of honor, and that made Cthulhu pause. Just for a moment, it watched Captain Arya sit alone in her quarters, staring at an old photo of someone she had lost. A brother, perhaps. The feeling burned in the air like fire. Cthulhu did not understand, but it wanted to. The crew of the Horizon's Wake continued their mission inside Sector D9. They scanned stars, took samples from asteroids, searched for anything strange. They didn't know they were already being watched. Cthulhu, the Dark Hunter, was. Not like any alien or machine. It had no ship. It had no voice. It lived in the space between signals, inside old memories, inside feelings. It didn't move like a body. It flowed like fear. And now it was inside the ship, not in the walls. But in their minds, it started with small things. Engineer Tom Harlow forgot how to turn off a power node, something he had done 100 times. I just blanked, he said. Biologist Hannah Lee saw strange patterns on her microscope screen. They looked like eyes, blinking slowly, then vanishing. Pilot Marcus Tran heard soft music in the control room, lullaby from his childhood. But when he checked the system logs, no sound had played. The crew became nervous. They ran tests. Everything showed normal. No virus, no breach, no signs of damage. Still, every night, more crew members reported dreams strange. Deep dreams. Dreams. Of people they lost, places they missed, regrets they buried. Captain Aria Monroe stayed strong. She met with each crew member, listened, and wrote reports. She did not show fear. But at night, she sat alone and whispered to a small photo on her desk. It was her brother. He died during the lunar fire riots, saving children from a burning colony. She never forgave herself for not being there. Cthulhu could feel it. The hunter had no face. But if it did, it would have frowned. It had hunted many species, strong ones, fast ones, smart ones. But humans were different. They felt pain, but they didn't run from it. They remembered their grief like it was part of them. Didn't try to hide it. They carried it. Cthulhu reached deeper. It began testing them. Tom heard a voice calling him into the engine room. It sounded like his father, who had died during the earthquake wars. "Fix it, son," the voice said. "You're the only one who can." He almost walked into a live power surge, enough to kill him instantly. Hannah found a dead bird inside her lab. There were no birds on the ship. She dropped it in shock. But when others came to see, the bird was gone. Nothing left, not even a feather. Pilot Marcus locked himself in the cockpit. "I saw the stars turn black," he said. "You were watching?" "Me back?" Arya called an emergency meeting. She looked at her crew, tired, scared, confused. "This is not a ghost story," she said. "We are scientists. We are explorers. We do not give up." Tom asked, "But what if it's not a thing we can fight?" Arya looked down. Then she answered quietly, "Then we don't fight it. We show it who we are." That night she opened her old video files. She played recordings of Earth-laughing families, open skies, children playing by rivers. She spoke into the ship's log. "My name is Aria Monroe, not afraid of death, but I fear forgetting the people I love. Something is watching. I hope it understands. We're not here to take. We're here to remember." Cthulhu listened. It didn't understand love, didn't understand peace, but something in Arya's voice made it. Slow down. It had planned to break them, one by one, to feed on their fear, but now it hesitated because humans were not trying to win. They were trying to connect. Cthulhu had never seen that before, and for the first time in many star cycles, it felt something new, not hunger, but curiosity. The horizon's wake drifted slowly through the dark silence of Sector D9. The crew no longer tried to scan space. Their machines didn't work the same anymore. Some read impossible numbers. Others said the ship was underwater or upside down. Though everything looked normal, it was not space that changed. It was them. Cthulhu, the ancient hunter, still watched them, but it didn't strike. Not yet. It was still learning. It didn't understand humans. Not fully. Other species feared it. Other beings cried, screamed, or turned to ash. Cthulhu understood that. But these humans, they hurt and kept moving. They saw ghosts, made jokes about them. They felt pain, shared it with each. Other, it was new, strange, wrong, but maybe not bad. It watched Captain Arya as she sat with her crew in the mess hall. No one had slept well for days. Tom had dark rings under his eyes. Hannah's hand shook when she drank her water.
Marcus kept
looking over his shoulder, but they sat together. They didn't run. They didn't fight each other. Arya looked at them and said softly, "We didn't come here to win. We came here to try. That's what makes us human." Cthulhu felt those words like sharp light in its endless dark mind. It had learned how to show people their worst memories, use pain to control minds. But with the humans, memories made them stronger. They even talked about them. Openly, Tom spoke of the fire that took his wife. "She told me not to look back," he said, "but I did." No one laughed at him. No one turned away. Hannah told them about the sister she had lost in space during a training mission. Her last message was, "Don't cry. Explore. That's why I joined this mission." Even Marcus, who never spoke much, said, "My dad used to sing me old Earth songs. I hear them now, maybe it's fake. Maybe it's something watching me. But it helps me remember who I am. Cthulhu did not understand this kind of strength. To it, pain was a weapon. But for humans, pain was connection. They didn't hide. From their broken hearts, they built bridges out of them. Cthulhu grew curious. It moved deeper, not just into minds, but into memories. It started seeing the world through human eyes. Mountains, oceans, fires, laughter, war, peace. A child holding her parent's hand, a soldier crying over a lost friend, a scientist smiling at a discovery, family dancing under the rain. Cthulhu felt confused. It had fed on pain for so long. It thought that was the only thing that lived in the stars, but humans brought something else: hope. Not the fake kind, the kind that survives in the dirt. The kind that lives in broken people who still keep going. Captain Arya felt something shift. The darkness in the ship became still. No more whispers in the engine room. No more strange shadows in the lab. The ship's lights stopped flickering. Air became easier to breathe. She stood on the bridge, looking at the stars. For a long time she said nothing. Then she spoke. "I don't know who you are," she whispered. "But I think you're not just a monster. I think you were hurt too." The air around her seemed to pause, like space itself was listening. "You don't have to be alone," she said. Cthulhu had no voice. But the crew heard something over. That comes for the first time in days. It was one word. Broken. Echoing. But real. "Why?" And Arya, smiling through tears, replied, "Because that's what we do." The crew of the Horizon's Wake waited in silence after the voice spoke. It had said only one word. Why? But that one word changed everything. Cthulhu, the ancient hunter, had never spoken before. It had existed for thousands of years in the dark between stars. It had ended empires, silenced planets, and erased entire species. It had never asked a question, only fed, only watched. But now, because of the humans, it asked why. Captain Arya stood on the bridge, her hands shaking. She looked at the stars, knowing something old and powerful was watching her, listening. She took a deep breath and answered, "Because you don't have to be like this. You don't have to hurt others to live." There was no reply for a long time. The ship hummed softly. The crew waited, then the lights dimmed. And suddenly, Cthulhu showed itself. Not with teeth. Not with fire. It appeared as a shape of light and shadow, standing tall in the air, but without form. It was made of memory, pain, fear, but now. Also curiosity. Tom, Hannah, and Marcus joined Arya on the bridge. None of them ran. Cthulhu looked at them, not with eyes, but through their memories, their hopes, their pain. It saw their kindness, their loyalty, their willingness to share food with strangers, to hold hands in grief, to keep going even when broken. Cthulhu spoke again. Its voice was deep and strange, like wind through old stone. "I was made from war. I grew in sorrow. I am not like you." Arya answered, "Maybe not, but you can change. Everything can, even us," Cthulhu thought. For a creature without a heart, it was still able to feel something moving inside itself. A question. A small spark. It had hunted for so long, so many ages, because that was all it knew. But now it saw another way. Not hunting. Healing. Thune turned its strange form toward Hannah. "Your sister died. You feel her still?" Hannah nodded, eyes full of tears. "Yes, I miss her every day. But remembering her helps me live better." It turned to Marcus. "You see songs?" He smiled softly. "They remind me of love." Cthulhu turned to Tom. "You feel guilt?" Tom whispered. "Yes, but I also feel hope. That's stronger." And then Cthulhu faced Arya. "What are humans made of?" She answered, "Not with science or numbers, but with a truth deeper than stars. We are made of stories, of people we've lost, of pain, but also of love, kindness, and the strength to try again." Cthulhu became still. Then its form began to fade, not in anger, Not in fear, but in peace. Its voice, now softer, like a final breath, said, "Then maybe I can be something new." With that it vanished. No explosion. No death. Just a quiet end to an ancient pain. The horizon's wake powered up again. Lights turned green. Systems rebooted. The strange signals vanished. They were free, but they all stood silently. They had not won a war, had not killed a monster. They had changed something dark with understanding. A few weeks later, the crew returned to Earth space. When they shared their story, many didn't believe them. But something strange began to happen across the galaxy. Other ships began to report less aggression in dangerous sectors. Some explorers saw brief flashes of light where death once waited. Others said they heard a soft voice, asking why. Before something left them in peace, no one saw Cthulhu again. But Arya believed it was still out there, not hunting, but watching, learning, maybe even protecting. And that became the new warning aliens whispered to each. Beware Earth's children, not because they conquer, but because they make even monsters ask to be more.